let's get into this article right here. It says, the top of the article, photo of black woman dating older man sparks controversy. Now, before we get too deep into it, I want you to pay attention to the thumbs up and the thumbs down. No, I have been watching articles on MSN.com for a minute, and I kid you not, and you can pay attention to it. Any article, or just about every article that have to do with people of African descent, black people or African people, even if it's a positive article, have to do with jobs, anything like that, it get far more thumbs down than thumbs up. But for some reason, this article where you have black woman dating older European man, which again is nothing new. European man has always had access to black women, whether by force or if it is a volunteer thing. And we're gonna prove that and show that throughout this video. So they try to make this as if it is anything new, right? But it is nothing new. It's been happening, right? But a lot of thumbs up, more thumbs up than thumbs down, and their comments. I'm not going to get too much into the comments and stuff like that, but there's a lot of comments where a lot of people, and usually it's women of African descent and white men who promote this, right? But if it's the boys, if it's black men and white women, then it changes the chemistry a bit, right? The European man is not going to be cheering that on too much. And people have to always understand this. Woman has always been a bounty of war. Woman has always been a bounty of war, right? It's a thing that men always throw in each other's face, and it still is the case today. You can hear it in some of the songs. You hear rap, you hear dancehall, you hear some of the other musics and stuff like that, right? And some people celebrate it differently. They may talk about it in conversations and stuff. But in the past, there were men of African descent who were killed for having some type of relationship with women of European descent. So it's always been a bit of feud between men, right? It's always the case, right? And same way, if it was African men dating European women, some of the women, you would not have as much women cheering for it as is the case here, right? But let's get into the article. Within the dating world, there's an ongoing debate within the black community. The debate is whether or not black women's needs are being fully met by black men. And again, this is no excuse because like I say, it's been happening throughout the time, but they just see this as a reason. Instead of being honest to themselves and saying, hey, I just don't like black people or African people. I don't like your feature. I don't like your nose. I don't like your hair, which is the case. Instead of being honest, which I would more respect that, black men and black women like to blame each other for them divesting. You know, they like to do that, which is very silly to me. Let's continue. As a result, some women are advising them to divest. There's a lot of platforms out there where black women who were hurt by black men or whatever, very angry, and they're trying to recruit. And these are the same people who would tell others to stay out of their business. But they're out there trying to recruit your daughters, your girlfriend, your sisters, your mothers. They are trying to recruit them to become divestors as well. Because, misery like company, right? And these people don't like to walk around and see a happy African couple, a happy black couple, happy black kids, straight African kids. They don't like to see that. They don't like to be reminded of history. They don't like to be reminded that they got work to do, that something was taken and we need to rebuild it. They rather wave a white flag and run to somebody else's house and try to give them advice on how to make their house better. And then these are the same people who complain and say, we are not being treated equally, right? We always had sellouts amongst us throughout the generations, and we have to realize that. And we always had vanguards as well. But what happened lately is that the vanguards has been isolated, and peer pressure, and when you turn on your computer and everything, you see all these people just worrying about goofing around, having a good time, which I don't mind laughing and enjoying some good music here and there, but you don't really see a lot of vanguards. And a lot of the people who talk as if they are about their getting money, and there are some grifters and all type of different stuff, people who have infiltrated it. That is why we have to suss each other out, because the vanguards is not going anywhere, right? The spirit lives on. Okay. In other words, date outside your race is what they're telling other women. Mostly, this has meant black women being open to the idea of going out with white men. And that is what they push most of the time. They don't tell them to date other men like Asians and stuff like that. Is usually date white men. Some women have done this and found success. A photo is circulating on Facebook that shows black women who did this. As a result, it sparked controversy. Again, I don't understand what controversy, or what do you call a controversy, because some people have a disagreement with it. Is that a controversy? To continue, this is what this person said. This is what you hear a lot of the time. Truthfully speaking, happiness is all that matters when it comes to dating. And that, I say, is a very shallow concept, right? These people are like floating iceberg. They're not grounded or rooted on anything. And when you think like that, you cannot trust people who's like that. It's like a dog, whoever giving them some food, they're going to run over there. They don't want to produce nothing for themselves. Instead of fixing our own home or what was taken, they talk about happiness is all that matters, or go where make you happy. It's not about the next generation. It's not about legacy. It's not about pride. It's not about nothing like that when it comes to them. To continue, of course, anything outside of the norm is sure to ruffle feathers. But if people dedicate themselves to going to where they are treated the best and where they are comfortable, things tend to go better. Can you imagine having an enemy who understands that you think like this, who knows that this is what you tell the man, woman, boys, and girls in your community, that as long as you're happy, as long as they treat you good, go there. No vision, right? We don't understand that we should be treated best amongst ourselves. We should treat each other better than we would be treated if we go anywhere in the world. But we don't think like that. You know? We don't think like that. And that leads to something I was thinking about the other day, where it's hard to decide between the criminals and the politicians and the people in the middle. Because if you let the politicians have their way, they're going to sell the country, they're going to sell the people. If you let some of these criminals if you let the criminals have their way, they may run the country to amok as well. So both of them are pulling the country in a crazy direction, and then you have the innocent people in the middle. The politicians seem to have more influence because they're supported by all these major powers out there, right? And they present this demeanor as if they're looking out for the people, but they don't teach the people about themselves. They're teaching the people to submit to the colonizers. They're teaching the people to accept second place. They're teaching the people to beg. They're teaching them to rely on other people for everything. And some of the people in the gangs on the street are too intelligent. Some of them are too intelligent to go down that road. So they say, you know what? Since you're using religion and you're using politics to lie to the people, and you don't want to teach them about anything, we're going to do what we do. And then you have people, sometimes you got some of the Rastafarians and other people who realize that going down the road of being a criminal or getting into politics, they are both thieves, right? So they try to do something conscious, but at the same time, many of them are missing something as well, because Marcus Garvey was about building. Marcus Garvey wasn't about going up in the woods and just living a life of, you know, that does not lead to some type of development. You see? All right, let's continue. It says here, in addition, if those who if those who are outside of the bubble on these things, now let's start over. In addition, if those who are outside of the bubble and these things mind their own business, situations would be less controversial. But that takes all the fun out of life, right? Again, these people are recruiting. They are on video platforms, social media. They're out there pushing these mixed relationship in your face. Anytime you turn on the TV, there's some mixed relationship or interracial relationship going on. And 9 times out of the 10, it's a black woman and a European man. You look into politics. A few years ago, they were trying to recruit some woman for Supreme Court. And I looked up all of the women. There was like 7 or 8 of them. And about 6, 7 of them were either with a European man, with another woman, one of the two. You don't typically see people get up in high places with like a black man and a black woman who is firm in their ways, right? Who is strong. You got Obama and Michelle who got there, but again, they've been looked at for a while. Okay, they've been looked at for a while. All right, let's continue. On Facebook, a photo has been circulating. On Facebook, a photo has been circulating, and it shows 3 couples. These couples consist of 3 black-looking women. I said black-looking because black, to me, is not only about your outer coating, right? It also have to do with your mindset and so much more. So there are 3 black women being held by 3 white men. The photos make it obvious that these men, who appear to be a bit older, are involved romantically with these women. As the photo is being shared, there are black women applauding these women for finding love outside of the traditional space. Again, if it was the other way around, these women would not be applauding it the way they do. Some will, maybe the ones who are already in interracial relationship, right? But for the most part, they won't. I've been watching this type of stuff. I just couldn't get away from it because they throw it in your face all the time. Not that I've been going around looking for it. Meanwhile, a large number of black men have not had much good to say about the photo. All right, and again, there's some comments over here about it, right? Okay, so let's look at this right here, right? Let's look at this right here. Again, this have been happening for generations. They make it seem like it's something new. Some of these images are from in the 40s and 60s. As soon as a black man was able to have some access to the white woman, they did so because they were getting killed for a while for dating a white woman. However, the white man was able to, or the European man was able to have sexual relationships the with the black woman for many, many generations, whether it's forcefully or willingly. So it is nothing new. It's only recently now, at least in the western side of the world, black man has been getting some type of access to white women. And when you look it up, when it comes to race, dating outside of your race, white women don't do so as much as black women do. Okay? All right. Marcus Garvey have a saying that goes like this: a people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without its roots. And that couldn't be more true. But I want to add something to that. A people who don't care. There are people who knows and just don't care, right? And there are people who just don't want to know about it at all. That is the case with many of these people who are promoting the divesting thing. They don't want to see um, they don't want to see African people, black people in relationship with each other, having black babies and having a good time. They don't want to see where you are in a position. They don't want to see where you're in a position where you don't have to rely on anyone else. They don't want to see that. I remember I dated this woman, right? And her sister was in an interracial relationship. And me and her had a discussion. And somehow she called her sister and got her sister involved with it. And I heard her tell her sister, look, if you can't talk about it now because he's around, we can talk about it later. And she said, no, no. And she ended up stepping outside and having a bit of the conversation. But of course, she had to keep her voice down. So they cannot really talk about matters involving the African community. And I've said this in one of my videos. Bob Marley, the point I was just making lead me to thinking about this. Bob Marley is one of the biggest blessings and curse to the Caribbean. Because what Bob Marley tried to do, because he had a dual allegiance, right? Because his father was a European man and his mother was a woman of African descent. Bob Marley tried to push this one love thing, right? Not realizing that he was trying to take sheep and wolves and bring them together. Because there are always people who's been up to no good. And many of these people are continuing always in everybody's business. Always in everybody's business. And if these people really care about the past, wouldn't they be trying to fix the past by giving back what was stolen? They don't care. Instead, they are trying to take more. Right? So that is why I have to say Bob Marley is like a blessing and a curse to the Caribbean. Are you trying to tell me that I'm seeing this and these people don't see that? These people travel to the Caribbean and other countries so much, but they don't see that the local people are disenfranchised and that their own people are taking advantage of the culture and everything. I tried to buy some Caribbean clothes, and when I look up the business of the organizations, many of them, they are owned by people who are not of the Caribbean because we make it so shallow to which we say, as long as you're born on this island, you are a Nevisian or you're a Centomian or whatever, right? Which is fine when it comes to paper. But we got to also understand that there's a difference when it comes to people who are historically Caribbean people. Our ancestors have been grafted into that. The work, the blood, sweat, and tears that they put into the soil have made them almost like Aboriginal people. Them and their Aboriginal people are on the same plateau because throughout the generations, many of them went through it together, even though they were used against each other in some cases. There were cases where, like in Dominica and so forth, where some of the Aboriginal people, Kalinigo Indians, were used against the Negroes. All right. But anyway, that's really all I wanted to talk about with this situation right here. It's crazy. It is sick. How this war between the black man and this black woman is going on. A lot of times you will look up a group. Let's say you look up a group where there's a mixed audience, where there's different races, and much of the time, you will always see the black woman on one side, and then you see other people in the middle, and you see the black man on the other side. In many cases, it's like they avoid each other. It just comes so natural. They avoid each other. It's like they're ashamed of other people seeing them around each other. If they end up someplace where there are European people, They try to avoid each other. Why is that? Why are you ashamed of yourself? People see that. They see that. They know you're ashamed of each other. So we got to get past that. We have to work and get in past that. But anyway, that's all I have for now. I'm going to try to manage my time a little bit better so that I can create more videos. Until next time, be blessed.